There was this really beautiful person in Walgreens. She was wearing, well, I actually don't know what their gender is. They were wearing all black lace ensemble, and their hair was pulled back, and I was like, whoa, yes. And I walked over to them and said, you look so good. And they were like, you look so good. Hello, my name is Monisha, your astrologer 6 at Black Woman Being. Today I'm going to be talking about the differences between the Placidus house system and the whole signs house system. This is a question that people have been asking me for so long, like, which house system do you prefer? The answer has not really existed, mostly because I'm just like, look, different house systems do different things. It depends on what kind of inquiry you are being presented with. It's not like a one tool fits all. Like, this isn't a shampoo with a conditioner with a serum inside. Like, that's not how that works. Like, you have one product that does one thing and another one that does another, and you should probably understand when to apply each tool. There are also a lot of astrologers who swear by the whole sign system. Swear by the whole sign system. They're like, I would whole signs, and good for them. Good for them. No comment. Like, you do you. You know what's going to work best for you, because we also have to remember there are different ways to practice astrology. There are people who practice Vedic astrology. There are people who practice Western astrology. I'm sure, like, in the Eastern world, astrology may look a little bit differently, or it's approached differently with a different perspective. Just because astrology is people interpreting the world that they live in based off of the knowledge that they have. I live in a Western world, and we pride ourselves on individualism. And because of that, the readings that I give are going to be focused on the individual and very humanistic in nature, in the belief that humans can do whatever they put their mind to do. Humans are capable of achieving beyond belief. I really want to have a perfume line. I really, God darn it. I smell like a sweet vanilla fig. Yummy. When I was a kid, I didn't really like figs because it was just like, what the heck is a fig? What's a fig? The whole sign system is a system that is also used in the Asian part of the world. So it's like Vedic astrologers seem to be more likely to use a whole sign system. Vedic astrologers, their charts are square, and the Western astrologers, our charts are cyclical. The whole sign system is essentially dividing houses up evenly. So every single zodiac sign gets a house. The difference between the whole sign system and the Placidus system is, with the Placidus system, it is more nuanced. It has interceptions, which essentially means that not all the houses are going to be equal. There are 12 houses and 12 signs. In whole signs, each house gets a sign, each sign gets a house. It's that simple. In the Placidus system, that's not true. The Placidus system is measured by the sun's rotation, and with that, sometimes some of the houses end up being a little bit evenly distributed and not so evenly distributed. Some of the houses, and I'll put some pictures up here for reference, some of the houses are going to be much smaller, and an interception is what happens when a house does not get assigned to a particular zodiac sign. So what ends up happening is there will be two zodiac signs that are just living inside of one house, and for the person who has an interception, it can feel a lot like they're not able to actually tap into that energy. Even though that energy may be around them, they may have difficulties recognizing it, embracing it. And then two houses will fall into another zodiac sign. So for example, if there's an interception, the 6th and 5th house might fall into one sign, being Leo. So that creates a bit more nuance into the chart. take a sip of water every time I say the word nuance. It's a healthy drinking game. Because I don't have a thesaurus ready right now, my baddie. There are a whole slew of reasons why people appreciate the whole sign system more, and I'm going to urge you to go to Google and type down whole sign system astrology, and you can find Chris Brennan's podcast, you can find Kelly Surtees's blog posts, you can find all these people who have opinions on the whole sign system, and those are sound. There are certain practices that are just more easy to use or more available to use when you're using the whole sign system, and that's fair. Again, it depends on the type of astrology that you're practicing. The Placidus system is very interesting because it finds its roots in Greece, and based off of what I learned in college, the Greeks stole from the Egyptians, and that I would imagine has its roots in Egypt. So there's that. I said that to be controversial. I just wanted to say something controversial just to spice things up. One really cool fact about the Placidus system, it's named after the person who really made it, Placidus Titus. After the British were done using the Regiomontanus system, they started using the Placidus system. The Placidus system picked up, and now it's prevalent all over the Western world. When you go to astro.com, when you go to different apps, typically you will be looking at the Placidus house system. What's interesting is the word Placidus comes from the word placid, which means to cool or to soothe. Through research, the finding was, yes, all of these systems are probably mildly mistranslated. We are going to have to adapt the information for the now, because it's kind of like the game of telephone. When you keep playing the game, eventually information changes and you just have to accept that it changes. I like the Placidus system, but not everybody is ready to utilize the Placidus system. Sometimes the whole sign system is easier. My fundamental belief, and I've been saying this for a very long time, is the whole sign system is good to use when you want to understand how the world is seeing you and what that means for you. So for example, I have Venus in the first house in the world. That's what the world is seeing me. In the whole sign system, I have Venus in the first house, conjunct my ascendant. So the way that I feel that is not like that at all. I actually have a very hard time feeling as though I am beautiful in the world that I live in. And that also makes sense because my Venus is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is Mars underwater. So being able to understand my beauty, being able to understand my appeal has always been really hard for me, mostly because one, I grew up in an area where there weren't necessarily tons of people who looked like me. And when I was around those people, I kind of experienced a lot of bullying because I guess I wasn't the cutest little duckling. In Placidus, the Venus is in the 12th house. It's still same sign, Scorpio, still conjunct the ascendant, and it is easier for me to resonate with the Placidus system, though with age, and mind you, my Venus is retrograde, I can understand the benefits of seeing both. With the Placidus system is focused on the individual coming to the reading, in my opinion. In my opinion, and this is how I've seen it with my clients, when they come to a session, the interceptions may be the excuses why they aren't able to do something, but it also is the reason why. People like to dismiss excuses. Sometimes excuses are fears, sometimes excuses are explanations that were never given the time of day, and it's important to acknowledge that. It's important to understand how a person may perceive their own difficulties, and that's why I like the Placidus system. I think that the whole sign system, while it can tell people blatantly and directly what it is, if a person isn't ready to understand that, you're gonna just be meeting them with a lot of dissonance. Placidus is a system, and I will go to the roots, but when I saw that Placidus comes from the word placid, maybe that's the mindset and the way that Placidus, the person, operated through life. So maybe that seeps over into the Placidus system. I think that'd be really cool, because sometimes people follow through on their name meanings, and like their name meanings is how they introduce themselves to the world, and like that's who they are. If that is the case, then the Placidus system, I think, needs to exist, because there are people who they need to be soothed to be able to grow. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of coddling. There's nothing wrong with calming people in a society where they might be overrun with stimuli. They might be burnt out, and they might not be ready for the information. I think that the Placidus system is very empathetic. I don't necessarily prefer Placidus or whole signs. I do lean Placidus, I'll be completely honest. I have a Placidus lean. And that's because when I work with clients, my focus isn't really telling them about the world they live in, because especially as someone who is pre-Saturn return, I'm still myself trying to understand the world around me. So my goal is really to help them understand themselves. That is what I am interested in as an astrologer. If you are trying to decide between using the Placidus and the whole sign system, my advice to you is to be clear on why you're coming for an astrology interpretation. May that interpretation be from you, or may that interpretation be from someone else. If you are going to a reading because you want to understand the world around you and maybe how you compare to other people, literally clean and put, like just how the world sees you, whole signs is probably a good sign. Like if you feel like you understand yourself enough and you just want to understand how the world is seeing you, like you've already like reached that point where you're like, I'm pretty self-actualized, like I'm giving back to my community, I want to like understand how my community is seeing me now, then you're going to use the whole sign system. That's like a good system to use. Or like especially if like you're giving back to your community and you don't exactly understand if your community is perceiving you right, like this is a good, the whole sign system is a good like outside looking in kind of system. If you're trying to understand yourself and become clear on who you are and what you believe in and your identity and how you're understanding the world, then I do think that Placidus is a really good system. I think that Placidus can help increase our self-awareness, while the whole sign system can help us increase our social awareness. That being said, you should learn how to use both systems. Like it's not necessarily going to be impossible, like, or you should be open to using both systems. I don't necessarily think that one has to be better than the other. It just depends on what type of practice that you are into. Some people aren't actually good at helping people figure themselves out, or they don't know how to ask questions. They're only capable of telling people what they think that people are, but they're not actually able to like help people realize themselves, and those people should probably stick to whole signs. If you're someone who wants to help people learn about themselves, and I find that for me, like when I'm reading somebody's Placidus, I learn a lot about them. I learn so much about people whenever I use the Placidus system. So those are my opinions. That is what I believe. I'm going to go ahead and say, please give a follow to Dr. Jennifer Freed, because I'm so appreciative that she basically presented the opportunity to do this investigation on these 2 different house systems. She's amazing. And she also sponsored a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a reading, consultation. I will be doing this. I don't really tend to advertise my readings that often because I kind of like writing more. But I do love reading for people when I do read for them. So if you're interested in that, please go to the link in the bio. It's going to be a snip feed link, and you can go to my Instagram and enter to win a free 1-hour reading with moi, and we can thank Dr. Jennifer Freed for that. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. If you are interested in more information, you should probably follow Dr. Jennifer Freed, whose information is going to be in the description box as well. She is producing really awesome stuff that will help you understand yourself and astrology a lot more. Goodbye, farewell to you, my friend. Something, 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 thing.